Yeah.
That's a big one, dude. That's a giant one.
There is one with him still.
Yeah, I saw.
Get the net. Oh.
I don't want to get.
I don't want to get.
All right. Yeah.
Chasing man, you show us how to perform. Well, your style's been changed because we're so in vain. But you'll take a sunset for stone. Look out, honey, you're bad, bad, bad. Here you come, said you're bad, bad, bad. Sing for a time, you're the hottest ticket in town. Well, you show us new moves, cause baby, you're smooth, you're above us.
Well, get those life vests zipped and clipped, strap down those rods, and stow away those tackle bags because we are going fishing. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Bass Tour Anglers Podcast. I hope this episode finds you with 5 for 25 in your live well. I'm your host, Keith Nicewonger, and today we're going to talk about the Redcrest Championship that has just taken place in Tulsa, Oklahoma. But first, if you like the content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button, leave us a like, and drop us a comment if you're so inclined. The Ducket Fishing Wave is here. You know these guys, the strongest pro staff in all professional fishing. Ducket is building a Western presence, and if you haven't seen it yet, you soon will. Find out about the Ducket lineup of pro-driven products by going to their website, ducketfishing.com.
Change. It's inevitable. To improve, you must adapt. The sport is evolving. A paradigm shift is a fundamental change of basic concepts. Don't get left behind. Introducing Paradigm. Paradigm Reels by Ducket Fishing. Pro-driven.
This was Redcrest week, and the bass fishing world was waiting to see what Major League Fishing would do, what it could do with their first shot at a full-blown, world-class tournament and corresponding outdoor expo. Yes, this is Major League Fishing's third Redcrest event, but as you know, last year's Redcrest Outdoor Expo was canceled due to the concerns about COVID. So the 2022 Redcrest was going to be the unveiling, if you will, in this new Major League Fishing ownership group and their ability to put together an outdoor expo. And what an event that was. So the big question was, what will this event look like? I can tell you it was a great hit. Major League Fishing pulled out all the stops and put on an amazing show. I had the opportunity to be in the Ducket Fishing booth for the first 2 days of the expo, and it was amazing to see the faces of people from all over the country that traveled to be at this show. Thousands of people attended this event, and I really believe that they enjoyed themselves. I know that I did, and people were spending money. These folks came to the show to take advantage of show prices and specials, and the vendors that I spoke to said that this show far exceeded their expectations. So congratulations to Major League Fishing on putting together a great event. it was just top notch and lots of excitement. Speaking of Redcrest, congratulations to Bobby Lane of Lakeland, Florida. He wins the Redcrest Cup with a final day total of 29 pounds, 14 ounces to just hold off Luke Clausen, who had 28 pounds, 11 ounces, Jacob Wheeler, who had 28 pounds, 4 ounces, and last year's champion, Dustin Connell, who had 25 pounds, 14 ounces. Each held the lead at least once during that final period. Bobby Lane caught 4 keepers inside the last hour, including a 6-pound, 3-ounce giant. And in dramatic fashion, Lane caught a 2-pound bass with just under 4 minutes to go that put him in the lead. Now this fish was a really exciting moment. He caught that fish and it looked like a 2-pounder. He weighed it. It weighed 115. He called for a reweigh. Weighed it again, 115. Major League Fishing allows bass anglers 3 attempts to weigh their fish, and on the 3rd attempt, the fish locked in at 2 pounds, which was the minimum keeper size for this event. The anglers that I spoke to during this event said many of them were caught off guard by the conditions. Rising cold water had the fish at Grand Lake way behind where many of them expected the fish to be during this week. Early in the week, the anglers were met by off-color, rising water and a very, very chilly 48-degree water temperature. Needless to say, the fish were not nearly as active as had been predicted. The fishing was very inconsistent. Consider Scott Suggs in his qualifying group on day 1 had 9 fish for 27 pounds, 12 ounces. He was 3rd or 4th in his qualifying group after that first day. Day 2, they were gone. He weighed in 0 fish, no fish for 3 periods. Still hung on the 20th place to qualify him into the knockout round. But you can imagine what it would have been like for Scott Suggs that final day, not being able to catch a fish and seeing others move up the score tracker. By the way, that's one of the things that's very cool about this format. Edwin Evers, who blasted 17 fish for 55 pounds, 8 ounces during the preliminary rounds, really struggled during the knockout round. He had 1 keeper in the first two periods of the knockout round before he got on a little offshore flurry using his live scope to pinpoint fish with a jerkbait in offshore brush. But it was just very difficult fishing, and there was to watch these guys struggle all week trying to figure out what these fish was. It was really, really an interesting event. This week at Grand Lake has been a textbook lesson in how bass move in the early spring. If you're a student of the bass fishing game and you really paid attention to the events at Grand Lake, you witnessed how the combination of warming water, photocycle, and bass migration play out in this really magical time of the year, that time when fish go from deeper water up into the shallows. It played out perfectly this way. Early in the week, fishing was very tough. Saw very little movement on the score tracker. These guys really struggled in these opening rounds. The fish that were caught typically came from offshore cover, like brush piles and trees. And if you think about it, this is what we often refer to as staging areas. This is where the bass were. They were off the banks. They were on that cover, waiting for the cues to move up. As the week progressed, we saw more and more of the live scopers. These are the guys using the active electronics, typically throwing things like jerk baits and other things that they can suspend and hold near these offshore cover areas. They were the ones that were on the rise throughout the week, and really they're the ones that got to that final round, is the ones that could target these fish offshore. The morning of the final day kind of played out the same way. We had Edwin Evers and Dustin Connell who jumped out to a lead. It really, for the first period and a half to 2 periods, it looked like Edwin Evers and Dustin Connell were going to be the ones that would take it down to the wire. They were fishing the offshore brush, and early in the day on this final day, they were the ones that took the lead. But as the day progressed, as the water warmed, the fishing changed. In that final period, the fish began to move as the week's warming trend finally brought the water temperatures up to the point where at least some of the fish would move shallow. Bobby Lane got his fish late. Mentioned earlier, he had 4 key fish in that last period, and they were all from the shallows. It's as though he was there waiting for them to come, and they finally showed up. Again, a great lesson in bass migration during this time of the year. You know, there's that magic week on every lake where fish start the week or start the period of time offshore on these staging areas, and then as the water warms, they just move. And we got to watch these fish move this week. It was really a fascinating study. When the videos come out from this event, I would recommend making sure that you watch them all. Watch the preliminary rounds, watch the knockout round, and watch that final round, and you'll just see how these fish progressed from deeper water into the shallows. It's time for us to update the Bass Tour Anglers Podcast Angler of the Year standings. There have been quite a few events since the last time we did this. Taking a look at the top 10, we see that Laker Howell. Yes, Laker is the son of Randy Howell. Laker fishes a lot of Major League Fishing Toyota Series events, and he is in first. He's got 3 events where he has scored. He's caught 41 fish. He has 330 points in the Bass Tour Anglers Podcast Angler of the Year race. In second place is Bob Blackerby, also a Major League Fishing Toyota Series angler with 256 points. In third place, Dakota Hebert. There's a familiar name. He is the 2021 Bass Tour Anglers Podcast Angler of the Year. He is in third place. He's got 4 scoreable events, 59 fish, 233 points. Matt Becker, a Major League Fishing Pro Circuit Pro, is in fourth, also with 233 points. He has fewer keepers than Dakota does. That's why Matt is in fourth. Andrew Loberg is in fifth with 232. Ethan Green in sixth with 229 points. Josh Butler, another Major League Fishing Pro Circuit angler with 228 points, is in seventh. Wendell Causey Jr. is in eighth with 209 points. Michael Neal, a Major League Fishing Bass Pro Tour pro, who's also fishing the pro circuit this year, is in ninth with 207 points. And Christian Greco is in 10th place with 197 points. The top 10 is being dominated by Major League Fishing pros this week, but expect that to change in the next couple of weeks as we have several BASS Open events coming up and some Elite Series events as well. It just kind of depends on which events are going each week as to who jumps up into the top 10. But we are well into the year now, a third of the way into the season as we are finishing up March, and we are watching the cream of the bass fishing crop rise to the top, and it'll be an exciting last 2/3 of the season. This season will come to an end after the U.S. Open in October, and who's to say who's going to be at the top of the list when it finally concludes. That's going to do it for us this week. Thank you for watching. Until next time, keep those live fists zipped and clipped and stay safe.